Hello, I'm Maureen Rogers, and this is Curtain Call. I wanted to introduce to you all again Jon Perry, who will be doing another show at Laurel Mill Playhouse, An Evening with Paul. It'll be on January the 8th at 2 p.m., and it's a show and a dinner, right?
Yes.
So we had such a good turnout last time, and people enjoyed it so much. It's really by popular demand you're coming back.
Well, it's wonderful to be coming back, and the idea that you and Nadal had, and Marvin as well, who put in a good amount of brain power.
Right.
So thanks to all of you for bringing me back.
Well, thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
So the show's at 2 p.m. and then dinner is going to be at 4. We're going to have a little intermission in the show to give people a chance to walk around a little bit, have some snacks and things, and then we'll have the dinner. So before we get into the details of that, tell us how you got into doing An Evening with Paul, how you got into this, and did you have music lessons?
No, I'm a totally self-taught guy. I grew up with a musical dad, and my aunts and uncles were huge Beatles fans, so those albums were always around. I, as a kid, as a teenager, I was definitely more of like a Led Zeppelin kind of guy, and I played guitar first. But little did I know that growing up with all that stuff, is all back here. And in fact, I'm kind of, I guess, playing it down. I used to, when I was really little, I remember being in the back of the car, rolling around in the back seat while my parents were driving, and imitating Beatle voices from A Hard Day's Night, and making the faces, and so it was really ingrained. So, but anyway, with the whole rock thing, I went through a period of, like every young person does, of having my musical tastes, and for a while the Beatle thing, it maybe seemed kind of square, but I rediscovered them around 19 or 20. I was really super into home recording, and I spent a lot of time in my little home studio making tapes and things. And one of the things I like to do was recreate Beatles songs, note for note, and it's tall order. Those songs are so masterfully produced. It's such a craft. But little did I know that there were people out there actually making a living doing that. So at one point I tried to get a band together to play Beatle music. This was early 80s, and it didn't seem like there was anyone really interested in doing that. So it was this long trajectory, and eventually, right around 95 or so, I was an acoustic pub musician. A lot of other people just, playing in clubs, and I happened to have a lot of Beatles in my set. So the folks that started coming to those shows were really into the Beatle music. And I remember one night at the end of a gig, someone mentioning in particular how they loved the Beatles stuff. So it was sort of this aperture, or this thing that came into focus, that was really something that I enjoyed and that I could do. Let's face it, that music really makes people happy, So, Yeah, so that was, I don't know, kind of the start of it. Sort of a disjointed way of telling my
How you got here on this
backstory.
chair today.
Yeah, but I started out as a kid as a left-handed drummer, but I write with this hand, I throw with this hand, and I actually ended up being a right-handed guitar player. So, ambidextrous, and I played in a couple of Beatle bands in the mid to late 90s, and bands are ticking time bombs. My love for it only grew, especially after the anthology movie came out. And so I just kept sticking with it, and really wanting to put together that perfect Beatle band. And I actually went out looking for a Paul, oddly enough. And I met up with this guy who was a left-handed guy, but he looked like Tom Petty. And I was sitting around listening to, he had everything on vinyl. And at one point he looked at me, he's like, you should try being the McCartney guy. You should. And I went back home and I picked up this old Univox bass that a friend had loaned me. Really beastly, awful, clunky thing with screws sticking up everywhere, just like this little Iron Maiden of an instrument. Awful to play. And I took the strings and reversed them, and I just stood in the window in the bedroom and found that it was actually surprisingly easy to play that stuff left-handed.
My heavens.
It just was like boom, out of nowhere. And there are a lot of guys, colleagues of mine that I work with, who work really super hard to be left-handed guys. It just kind of came to me, so I feel really blessed in that way. Everything else is just, for most of us, just a constant craft, learning the music, perfecting oneself as a singer and a performer. It's big shoes to fill, to get it right.
So how many instruments do you play?
Bass, guitar, piano, a little bit of ukulele, and drums. Just basic stuff. Yeah.
And you do all the music we hear.
Yeah. So that was a strange kind of evolution, because when I got into the upper echelons, the more serious Beatle groups, I generally was the guy who handled the orchestration, because a lot of the groups I played with, we did everything live. So, stuff like Walrus and Strawberry Fields and All You Need Is Love. I spent a lot of time sitting down and relearning that orchestration. Penny Lane, learning the trumpet solo. So there was a point where I had a 5-piece McCartney tribute, Wings style tribute with Alinda, and we did everything live. In general, it's really difficult to keep a band steady working, with 5 different schedules. And so, I decided to kind of, branch out on my own. And it was actually a suggestion my cousin, who's a promoter, Bradley, offered to me. He's like, why don't you just do like a one-man show, So I set about in my attic studio in Virginia at the time, recreating every single song. So when folks go to the show, what they hear behind me, I'm playing all the bass absolutely live, the keyboard live, all the McCartney vocal is live. But what you hear is instrument by instrument, me having recreated all the songs. It's not, like a karaoke CD or anything like that. So, and a lot of that is the joy of doing it and getting it right. And, really trying to make sure that for the crowd that it sounds like the record.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know. The audience knows, and there are a lot of folks that don't give the audience enough credit, but they know.
They know for sure.
Yeah.
So, what else have you done, or where have you gone that's really interesting with An Evening with Paul?
Well, let's see. God, it's all just a blur.
I know you're constantly busy going here and there.
One of the great experiences that I had was in California, playing at it's a theater on Wilshire Boulevard, the Rita Hayworth Theater, and that's where halftime. And this wasn't my show. This is a show that I did with some friends of mine in California, 4 lads from Liverpool. And we apparently, we'd taken the theater over for 2 weeks. And usually that theater was the residence for a show called Imagine. It was a good friend of mine named Tim Piper, who plays Lennon. And they were somewhere else. So the theater was open, we had it. And who should walk down the boulevard that night but Angie and Ruth McCartney?
Oh my gosh.
And they walked down expecting to see Imagine on the marquee, and instead it said 4 lads from Liverpool. So they thought, what the heck, let's check it out. So here I am, with the band up on stage, singing Kansas City and Yesterday, and we're doing our show, and halftime, the guys say, by the way, there's somebody that wants to meet you after the show.
Gosh.
And it was brilliant. It was brilliant. We finished the show and went out to the front lobby and did our meet and greet. And, there she was, Angie McCartney, dressed in a rubber sole frilly jacket, which she called her Blackbird jacket. And absolute salt of the earth, and I think we spent about half an hour just.
That must have been.
Yeah, just
really
conversing.
Exciting.
It was brilliant, and they were just really gracious folks, and we're friends to this day.
That's
that
awesome.
was 10 years ago. So that was one of the high points for me.
I bet.
Just doing this kind of work.
So this show is going to be a little different from the show you did in late June?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one it focuses primarily on the Paul material. There's a spot in the show where we do some, we do a John song or two, and a Ringo, and maybe even a George song. But but yeah, this focuses on McCartney, and there may be even a couple Wings tunes in there somewhere.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
So you think it'll be about 2 hours with an intermission in between?
Yes. Yeah, that sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go next door to Olive on Main and have a great meal. Oh, and we decided to ask Nadal if he would have some special things added to his menu.
Yes.
We're excited to collaborate with John on this production. Seems like a great show. So we have it all set up for January 8th. And our plan is, what we have going on right now with the tickets is you purchase a ticket from Laurel Mill Playhouse. You go to their website and purchase it through laurelmillplayhouse.org. So your purchase price will include your ticket and then a $25 voucher towards a meal here as well. So the show starts at 2 p.m. and then the plan is for everyone to come right over after around 4 p.m. to enjoy some fish and chips and a signature cocktail from the show called the Brandy Alexander.
Oh yeah, I understand that was John Lennon's favorite drink.
That's what we found in our research, so we think that's going to go over really well.
It really will.
I think so, yeah. I think it's going to be a pretty good turnout. We have this room reserved for you guys, so you get a chance to watch the show, come over, relax. This is our newly renovated space with the skylight atrium, as you like to call it, and we'll be good to go Sunday afternoon. I think it'll be something good to do after, calm down after all the holidays. You just kind of get out, get a chance to have a show, dinner, and relax a little bit.
It will be a wonderful start to the new year.
I think so too.
And thank you so much for this.
No, thank you for pairing up with us on this. I think it's going to be a great time.
And one of them was, is it whose favorite drink it is?
It's actually John's purported favorite drink, the Brandy Alexander.
Yeah.
So we were, I guess just trying to find ways to give it a sort of a Beatle flair, an English flair.
Yeah.
So, and you guys, did great at that, I thought. So will we have fish and chips?
Yes, we'll have fish and
yeah.
chips too.
That's
plus,
awesome.
Plus your favorites from Olive on Main.
Yeah.
And then there'll be some sing-alongs in the music, right? Storytelling.
Yeah, it's typical with this show, the way that it flows. There's so much material, so many good songs to squeeze in. So it's a little bit like, I like to say it's a bit like telling the story, just turning the pages a little faster. Some of them are slightly abbreviated versions, and there's a lot of backstories on the songs and things that probably most of the folks that come to the show will know.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm hoping that we'll have a lot of diehards in the crowd.
And we're going to eat over on his newly opened side. I guess it's been open a few months now, but it's huge.
Yeah.
So we can accommodate easily 59 people over there. Oh. It'll be great fun. And John's going to come over afterwards, and he mingles with the crowd and talks to them. You don't get much to eat during that, but
no, that's okay.
But I know that's one of your favorite parts.
It is. It is. Meeting the crowd is one of the high points for me.
Yeah, so you can get your tickets at laurelmillplayhouse.org, and they are selling quickly.
Yes, they
so
are.
I would not wait until the last minute because they will be gone.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a great show and lots of fun. It'll be great to have you back again. Is there anything you want to add about the show or?
I would just say, hop onto Laurel Mill Playhouse and check out the details. And on there, you'll find the promo poster, and that has everything that you need to know if you'd like to know more about the show. The website info is on there.
Yeah, and you can always call me too directly, which is 301-452-2557. And the dinner is included, but you get your choice of what you want to eat, which is good. It's not a preset menu or anything.
And we'll be pumping up the promo from here on out. There'll be some show videos and shares and things.
Yeah.
So, but I want to thank you for having the show back.
Oh, well,
believing
we
in
just
it.
had such a wonderful time, and so did everybody else. We couldn't not have you back. So thanks again, John, for coming out and being part of Curtain Call. And everybody get out there and get your tickets before they disappear, because our theater only has 59 seats, and we want you to be sure that you get your seat to see John in An Evening with Paul. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.